Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Doctor's Notes podcast by Doc's Castle Media, a podcast I created to share the notes of one of my favorite reality shows ever, Big Brother USA. I'm your host, Doc, and I'm here to talk BP perspective from Doc's point of view. So here we go. So we're back again for another Doctor's Notes podcast episode, and it's been a minute. I'm sorry, guys. I had you guys waiting a little longer this week than I normally would because it's been pretty hectic. Not only has it been hectic as far as for me, but it's been hectic in the Big Brother house. So there's a lot of information that I'm going to cover in this episode particularly. But I just wanted to let you guys know that the reason why that there hasn't been a veto episode or any live eviction episode in days now is because life has just been all over the place, and I have been unable to really fully organize myself to the point where I can focus on recording this episode on top of there being 3 hours of content for me to cover for you guys, including some possible updates that are on Twitter. It is kind of hectic for me. I don't know why in the world Big Brother decided to put a 2-hour episode on this week for veto competition. And then there be so much that went on in the Big Brother house this week. I don't know how I'm going to explain all of this to you, but we're going to do it. So, let me begin by telling you that this episode is going to be about the veto competition and also the live eviction, instead of it being 2 separate episodes as I've been normally doing. Because I have missed so much or have not been able to keep up with it, I just want to compile everything into one episode for you for the best that I can, just a summary. So there might be some things that I have missed out that I feel like they might be really, really important. I wanted to leave it up to the viewers and listeners of this episode to bring up those things that need to be brought up in this episode or on the podcast at some point in the comments in the sections below, so that you can let us know what do you think about what's going on in the gameplay of the Big Brother house, and should there be any particular strategy that is left out put in. You guys let me know in the comments. Either way, I want to start off this episode by bringing the attention to where we are at the beginning, and we're so far pushed back from where we are. But this week, the veto competition. Let's say we started off the episode for the veto competition with Izzy and Felicia on the block. You guys know that Izzy and Felicia on the block because Cam is the HOH this week. An HOH that is in for revenge because Red was voted out last week and he does not have his final 2 alliance member with him. So it's time for him to figure out what he's going to do as far as attacking the other side of the house because his man is gone. The thing about this house, this Big Brother house, there's a constant back and forth between the shifts of power. And there is usually a strong divide within a house that is divided like this. But because there isn't that much of a divide, it's really interesting how this game is being played, because this game is still interesting with how the structure of the power is shifting. Cam is literally on the other side of the house by himself, but people are so threatened by him. Suri is literally the boss of the entire other side of the house, and I don't know if anyone's afraid of her, but they are willing to work with her, and they're more so afraid of the strength that Cam has versus there's no strength that Suri is showing in any of the competitions that she is playing. She's not really a strong competitor, but she is a strong social player, and it's causing everyone to be in control of what be under her control. But because Cam is the HOH this week, his mission is to go after Suri. And he even laid it out in his diary room sessions that he is not going after the president this week when he made his nominees to be Izzy and Felicia. He made his nominees those because he doesn't want to go after President Suri. It needs to be a backdoor, just like he has been backdoored, or there's been attempts to be backdoored for him. Suri is very powerful. He doesn't want to give her the opportunity to win a veto. So he needs to backdoor Suri. And he's done being used as a pawn, so he's making the power moves, discussing with us that it's better for either Izzy or Felicia to go out the house before Suri, because you're gonna pick off her little minions, basically. But after that nomination ceremony, Izzy is offended because she doesn't know what is the threat that has caused her to be put on the block, based off of Cameron. But we as America, we all know what her reasons is, and of course she's not going to really know, but she should know. I mean, she's been talking game in this game, so she should know definitely. Felicia, she saw about Cameron putting her on the block, but she didn't tell Cam anything about the fact that Red was going out the door when the time was for Red to go out the door. So that's the reason why mainly I think Felicia is on the block, because honestly, when Red was in the house, he thought that Felicia had something against him. So I'm pretty sure if he ever had talks with Cameron, that could have been the reason why Cameron could have been putting Felicia on the block, because she's a little shisty a little bit. And as an old woman, she got that attitude. Or older people, they don't have filters sometimes. And like me working in an assisted living home, I learned that very, very much so. And Felicia is older, and it just seems like she's someone that's living in a house without a filter. Younger people can't take it sometimes. So who's to say that could have been a reason why Felicia is on the block, because she's been rubbing people the wrong way. But either way, while she's on the block, she's not truly Cam's target. She's there for be a pawn. Cam is ultimately targeting Izzy, because Izzy is just really, 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 really close to Suri. And to us, America that's viewing, it looks as though that Izzy and Suri are closer than Felicia and Suri, though that Felicia and Suri are close as well. You want to knock out the closest person to Suri, and I think Cam is correct. It might be Izzy that needs to lead. Everyone's playing so many different positions in this household at this time. But I just want to say that the episode was absolutely unnecessarily long, because they should just pay the writers on these writer strikes, instead of dragging on episodes like this, creating an episode that has to be 2 hours long. Literally took me like 3 days to watch this one episode, because I do not have 2 hours just to sit there and look at Big Brother anymore with a child. But either way, they just made this episode so long, and there's so many dynamics between alliances that happen in the gameplay. There were competitions that were long for no reason, that I am not really going to explain the games in this episode that much, but there were 3 games that went on in the course of this week that I'm going to discuss in the Doctor's Notes podcast. But like I said, the games aren't even that important. It's about the alliances and who wins these games that's most important. And so I want to discuss the alliances right now that are brewing in the house this week, that seem to be appearing outside of the fact that we've seen Suri playing her game. This week we have an alliance that has been mentioned or created out of 2 people that I have been secretly rooting for, because I want them to actually just start seeing this game. That is Jag and Matt. Jag and Matt are 2 quad players in this game who have officially solidified their final 2 alliance. For the past couple of episodes, I've been bringing up Jag and Matt since the power of invincibility have been used on Jag. That power being used on Jag has made Jag and Matt so much closer. They've been doing, romance dates. They've been hanging with each other, making handshakes. They have officially created an alliance called the Minutemen. The Minutemen are working together. It's cool. I want to also talk about the other alliances that are appearing in the episode. So we have the Minutemen, you have the 7 Deadly Sins alliance, of course, because of Jag being there and people trying to decide what they're going to do with Jag. And then you have America and Corey's alliance that is brewing up and showing up for us. These are 3 alliances that seem to be appearing and seem to be coming up strong in the Big Brother house during this game. And we see that through the gameplay. I necessarily think that Seven Deadly Sins is only around because Jag being saved. That's the only time you really see the Seven Deadly Sins names being mentioned when it has to do with any kind of talks that has to deal with Jag for real. Jag really being in the house. So the Seven Deadly Sins, it's just a fake alliance. And they've been telling us for the longest time that it's been a fake alliance. But how fake is it if you got a group of people that seem to still stick so loyal to it? It's not really that fake. It's probably lasting as long as, 2 weeks right now? There's so many different alliances. Which one is true? But the Seven Deadly Sins, it's just crumbling. And I think it's crumbling just because of the fact that it never was real. And because it was never real, like Jag is a lone wolf in this house and he needs men. So I agree with the Minutemen alliance that was created in this week. It's just the best. So I want to talk about Jag's position. Like, Jag doesn't trust Cam at all, really, in the house. He doesn't trust anyone because no one has given him the reason to, but Cam uses information of bribery over Jag in the episode, using it as a test to see if anything slips up. It'll let him know if he's able to put the trust in Jag. So when Jag and him have his one-on-ones prior to the veto competition, he talks to him to kind of put a little agreement there to try to see if any information would be leaked. Jag needs to plead a veto to feel safe for himself, of course. But that's mainly that deal that's created between them. It becomes important, not in this episode when it comes to the veto, but it definitely becomes important in the next episode when it comes to the eviction. There was so much dialogue that happened, and I will reveal later, like, the importance of it. Let's talk about Cerie's position with Izzy and Felicia being on the block. When she talked to Cam prior to the veto competition, she feels them being on the block isn't an ultimate plan that he has. She is very concerned that she might be the one that is the back door, of course, and we all know as America that she is. Honestly, Cam is not stupid to know that Cerie is the puppet master of the entire side of the house. He knows that her name comes up in a lot of things. But as they are speaking to each other, he's trying to reassure to Cerie that she isn't a backdoor, that the target truly is someone that is on the block. And Cerie just does not feel that confident in that. Literally, Cam would just say, "I got you." But that isn't no reassurance for Cerie. That's not a reassurance that she's going to be safe. She basically was telling Cam her reasoning for why she felt that he didn't need to be let on to know that Red was being voted out of the house. She thought that he was keeping him safe and protecting him and protecting his feelings. But the best bet that Cam could ever do was to say, "I got you," to basically throw Cerie off, to make it seem like he believed everything that she had said when they had that talk, that one-on-one talk, talking about why she didn't tell him about Red. And Cam is playing his part, being phony too. So it's just good gameplay. Good gameplay. We learned in this episode how close Izzy and Cerie actually are as well with their final two. Like, I feel like their final two might have been more important than Jared's and Cerie's final two, honestly, because she probably would have took Izzy there before Jared. Who knows? Either way, Izzy tells Cerie that if she was to win the veto, she wouldn't take herself down if she won the veto, because she knows that Cerie will be put as a replacement, and she doesn't want that. Like, she really would sacrifice her game for Cerie and the type of bond that they had. They had a heart-to-heart and was crying about it. Big Brother really connects people. Big Brother really builds connections within this house that people have never, ever seen or imagined that they would have before. And I think that Sari and Izzy, in that moment of the episode, they realized that it was a connection they never thought that they would have. And it's genuine and it's love there. And you really are putting yourself and sacrificing yourself in the line of someone's friend. That's great. It's it's just the ultimate love. And you know what's funny, because Twitter always jokes around about Izzy and Sari, but about Izzy might have a crush on Sari or whatever, but who cares? Like, either way, if she did have a crush on Sari, it doesn't even matter. She's there for Sari in the way that Sari needs her, and Izzy's there, and Sari's there for Izzy. So that's all that needs to be done. But as far as Izzy telling Sari that how they are solid, that's how she chose that she would be solid. She wouldn't take her off the block. And there it is. Jared and Cam also had a talk prior to the veto competition that Jared was trying to fill out exactly where Cam was going to be with if he was to really play in this competition really hard and to win. But prior to the veto competition, I think that Cam was feeling him out and understood that Cam might not really truly know where he stood with the red situation. So he played his part. And Cam was really oblivious in that meeting with Jared. So when he played his part, he played it like Cam was naive, and Cam told him his plans, but didn't fully tell him that his plan was to try to use it to backdoor Sari. Once it was solidified, after Jared had won the veto competition, now let's go on and talk about the veto competition, which was brought to us by the Buddy Games, a show that came on this week, hosted by Josh Duhamel. This buddy competition was hosted by him, and the game, I forget what the game was called, because it gets to the point where these games are just so extravagant. I can't even really remember the names of them or which universe they've come from. I'm just paying attention to the strategy at this point because it's just that much going on. So bear with me, guys. But either way, it was the type of competition that they have every season where the player has to turn around and multiple times to create themselves and make themselves busy, and then they have to do a task. So basically for this one was they had to sit in the chair, get dizzy, then attempt to play a put the Chuck E. Cheese ball, because I think this is like a Chuck E. Cheese game, the Chuck E. Cheese ball up the ramp. You have to roll it up the ramp and try to get as many points as possible. Scoring the highest number will win the chance to get the veto. But this veto competition was the competition where you would trade your trade your winnings. So if whoever won a particular part of the competition segment or was booted out, they would have to choose either a punishment, or was it like a trip or a treat, anything like that. It was basically you get the trade-off. It was the trade-off game. And I really hate this game every time they play it every season, because honestly, the first person that's usually out in this competition is never the veto winner. But they're the first one that has the veto when they lose that competition. They're the first one that... The veto is usually the first one that's open out of the boxes that are revealed. So, the first person who loses or gets knocked out of the competition wins the veto, and then we continue for the next person to trade them off with it. Those that played in this competition were, of course, the two nominees, Felicia and Izzy, the HOH winner, Cam, and then we had Matt, Jared, and Jag that were picked to also be competitors in the competition. Everyone is gunning for the veto in this episode. There is no one who is trying to throw this competition. Everybody has to win it, or they're winning it for a reason. Like Jared is winning for his mom, Matt is winning it for his mom. I'm gonna call that Sari his mom too. For his mom, Jag is winning it because Jag has literally been a pawn on the block and been voted 10-0 one week. So he is very scared and doesn't trust anyone. So he's trying to win it. Felicia, Izzy, and Cam are all trying to win it too. So this was interesting because they were really fighting for it. They had this competition so dragged out. This competition probably was the reason why the episode was 2 hours long, because they wanted to drag it out so much. And I'm not going to go into details about who was the closest to winning what, because it don't even matter. Like, each one of them all leaved out with either a prize or a punishment. And then we watched them live that lifestyle throughout the entire house. I hate this competition. I just hate the competition so much. It's so long, and they put it on the longest episode so far this season. Ugh. But anyway, Jared won he won the veto competition, and when he won that veto competition, afterwards, Matt and Jared, they sat there and they talked about their plans about the veto, and Jared basically wanted Matt to win the veto so that Cam would tell him the full plan so that he'll know what to do, whether changing the noms. So when Jared had won that competition, it was really what happened. Cam came out with his thoughts to backdoor Suri. And there was so much rebuttal. Or it wasn't that much rebuttal, but it was a rebuttal from Jared to not put Suri up. Instead, he throws someone else's name. He throws up Jag again, because everybody was already trying to get Jag out, so he assumes that that's what they should use. They should get Jag out. And Cam, he wants to work with Jared, so he's so blindsided at that moment that he's just like, whatever. But Jared, he won the veto, and after the talk, he still used the veto. And so, at the end of the episode for the veto competition, Izzy and Felicia are left on the block. They're upset about it, of course. Felicia is hoping that Jared would have used the veto on her, because she is assuming that Jared is in a final 2 with her. But that's not the case. He left it the same and used the excuse that he just knows there are 2 wonderful women that are battling it out together, and he doesn't want to have to make the decision to choose who is going to be put on the block. Really, there isn't no choice of what's better than the other. He's working with both of them. So, and that sounds like a valid reason. So, they're still on the block. And now that brings us to the beginning of the HOH competition, which is another HOH episode, which is another episode full of nothing but dialogue. The competitions were unnecessary. That's why I didn't even really want to even talk about the have-not competition or the punishment competition that Izzy and Cameron had with each other, because it really didn't have any relevancy to what has been going on amongst the gameplay strategy. It was just an interesting game to watch them play the Piggy Pals game. So if you guys wanted to see the dynamic of the Piggy Pals game, I suggest you go on Paramount and you watch that game. But I'm not really going to explain how that game went, because it had nothing to do with the strategy of the game. We're just going to move on to the next episode. Like I said, HOH competition. The live eviction. The live eviction. So Izzy and Felicia, they're still on the block. Felicia wants to stay in the house, and don't want to campaign against her, but she wants to know where Sari vote is. And Sari is at a point where she just doesn't feel comfortable choosing between her 2 friends. So she is not choosing. She's letting the house choose for her in this case. And until she figures out what the house is going to do, she's just letting Felicia and Izzy know completely nothing. And we go to literally talking about the positions of everyone else in the house through the dialogue. Like, I was telling y'all that in the last episode that the 7 deadly sins was always seemed to be a fake alliance, just not being successful. Well, we definitely seen in the live eviction episode how it wasn't successful, because the 7 deadly sins alliance completely blew up in the episode through the dialogue, when things were revealed as they're trying to get rid of or choosing who to get rid of in the house. Cam's target is Izzy. Felicia is just up there as a pawn. But you have to convince everyone else that Izzy is the target instead of Felicia, even though Felicia has been rubbing people the wrong way with her opinions and how she feels and how she's talking to certain people. She's not the target. So this is an interesting dynamic in the game. And where Corey in America are starting to show how strong they are in this game now and not really too much of floaters anymore. Corey thought the votes to keep Izzy would work until he was revealed by America what Izzy is truly playing this game like. Corey was down with working with Izzy. He knows about secrets about Sari, and he knows about secrets about that Izzy is trying to keep, or stuff like that he just really wants to work with a specific group of people. He feels that will take him so far in this game, that being Izzy and Sari, that he just thinks that it would just be okay to keep the votes, or he had the votes to keep Izzy. But America tells Corey about a play that Corey never even knew about. Corey didn't know that Sari played for power. Corey didn't know that, and America do. And with that being opening up his eyes to that fact, with the addition of him knowing about the 7 deadly sins, he knows that Izzy has had some information as well that he can turn that on her, basically. Because of Sari really not telling Corey about her playing in the Power of Invincibility competition. There are games that are played in this competition that he just doesn't know, or plays that have been made that he just doesn't know about. He didn't tell Sari about him playing, but he just knew that was something that was being done. Jag was being saved, and he knows that Matt saved him. He just knew that there were puzzle pieces missing, and it infuriated him, and it ignited a fire in Corey this episode that has put them a little bit higher on my alliance ranking route. And honestly, the moves in this episode is what's making me choose the MVP players, plural guys, for this Doctor's Notes podcast episode. But let me continue to explain what's going on. So it was revealed to Corey, and Corey goes on to this moment where he's thinking like, all right, I need to figure out how I'm going to flip this house because I'm so infuriated about the information that I didn't even know. He said that he knew about the 7 Deadly Sins Alliance for 3 weeks without letting anyone know. Because remember, Corey is in the other alliance adjacent to the 7 Deadly Sin Alliance. There were actually 3 alliances that week that were created adjacent to the 7 Deadly Sins Alliance. That was the For Real Alliance. That was an alliance that I thought was really going to last and really be good. Apparently that's blowing up. The For Real Alliance, 7 Deadly Sins Alliance, and the Legend 25 Alliance were all kind of alliances that was made in the same week, same amount of people, same people, but different variations mixed in of the new people. All I know is that the same people that stayed in all 3 of those alliances were Izzy, Felicia, and Sari. And because of that, and them not being really too careful about all of those different dynamics in alliance groups, all those different people being mixed inside, Corey is opening up his mind and seeing that there is a particular group of people that are depending upon Sari, Izzy, and Felicia right now. He doesn't like that play being made. He has a fire ignited in him. America also has a fire ignited in him and her. So she tells Cam he was the target last week because of Jared, which opens up Cam's eyes during this live eviction episode to the fact that Red has been was told that he was opened up that Red was told that Cam volunteered to be on the block next time. And he was just like, why would I even, why would I do something like that? I can't believe it. But it now sets him off, and Cam now sees that Jared works for Sari from now, and how he told him how not to put her on the block against Izzy is if he takes Felicia off the block was an issue. He now saw that. So now Cam is possibly working with America, and this creates another dynamic of an alliance in this house. But I think that Cam has been so betrayed at this point that I don't even know. He might be sitting here talking about making an alliance, but I think Cam has been pushed in literally to playing a week by week game. I don't think he cares about alliance anymore. His main person is gone, so he's really just making deals week by week at that point. It's good for him. But America basically, she's starting to play this game. She's ready to make some moves. Her and Corey are both upset, obviously, and they're both making some moves right now. And I think that it causes them to be both two MVP players of this week on top of Cam. All of the moves that they're making, they're really working together to really move the position of this house. The power struggle is changing now. And it's really still showing us that Cam is in power because he's literally the one that's in power this week. But him coming from having no one at all when Red left, literally being just alone at the beginning of this week, to now he possibly has people working with him, America and Corey. He's actually developing an alliance that is pulling people from Cerie's alliance, people that was working with Cerie. So it's just an interesting thing that's happening right now when it comes to the switch of powers. In the middle of the week, America talks to Matt as well. She thinks Matt uses the power. She thinks that Matt used the power, that invincibility on Jag. There's been so many secrets. No one really knows who used the power on Jag except for Jag and Matt. There's been a secret. Oh, and Cerie, because she was let on with that information. So and Jared, because he was also let on with that information. So, but America had these notions, and because she had these notions about Matt winning the power and using it on Jag, she brings it up to Matt, and Matt confirms and tells America that Cerie also played the path of power. America tells Corey about it, which I've already, said when she told Corey about it after finding out about Matt. But Corey, gets upset and he creates an alliance. Now I'm gonna name out the alliance that he creates after his blow up, or finding out that blow up. He becomes the MVP because he tells people the knowledge that he has about the 7 deadly sins after him being so upset with finding out about this power and America revealing it to him. Izzy told him about the 7 deadly sins line, so that's how he uses this to blow up, to kind of put the target on Izzy. So Izzy told him, so he starts to leak that information that she told him, so that it can rally up the votes. And he knows that he only needed 5 votes in order to try to get Izzy out of this house this week. So he names off the people that he needs to have on his side that he thinks that was working with Cerie, and how he has to turn them against Cerie. He says America, which you already know because America basically told him the information. Jag, they go to speak to Jag about the whole power being used and who knew about what power and blah, blah, blah. Opens up Jag's eyes to who he needs to be able to trust in the house. Goes to Matt, talks to Matt about this situation, and opens up Matt's eyes about the 7 deadly sins and how it's not truly a good alliance. So Jag and now Matt, who both work together because they're in a romance together, are completely turned against the 7 deadly sins at this point and see that there's just no way that they can trust Izzy or trust Cerie because she's working with Izzy. Bowie Jane is finally let on to some people, and Corey let Bowie Jane know the reality of the situation where she's in, that the people that she's been working with, their names are always swirling in with the 7 deadly sins. Bowie Jane didn't even know about the 7 deadly sins. I don't think she knew about it because I don't think she was in the 7 deadly sins. She was in the Legend 25 alliance. So her being revealed about these new alliances, Bowie Jane, of course, she's ready to work with somebody. She wants to work with an alliance that wants to work with her. And then lastly, we have Mimi. Mimi, who we're not really sure who is what and who she's working with, and how she just knows there's a bunch of snakes in the house. She's let on with information. She knows about information. But I think Mimi is just playing the game based off of what's best for her game. And right now, what's best for her game, she knows, is to work with Corey at this moment because of what's the power struggle right now. It doesn't seem like it's working really well in Surrey's favor, Surrey and Felicia's favor at this moment for this week. Those 5 people were the ones that Corey wants to bring on to get Izzy out. And those 5 people are the ones that are confirmed to get Izzy out at the end of the episode, which was, the case. That needed to be only 5 votes to get Izzy out. Izzy was voted out of the house in a vote of 8-1. There was only one person that voted for Izzy, and that one person was Surrey. And through their heart-to-heart in the episode, we kind of knew that was going to happen, honestly. Because, honestly. I don't even understand why they still try to do this voting unanimously thing. Like, this isn't a unanimous vote, but there still was 8-1. The one person that Izzy knows voted to keep her, she knows about. But everyone else voted her out. This unanimous vote actually makes sense, though. Because after Corey, rallying up everybody and telling everybody about the 7 deadly sins, it kind of just blew everything up. And Izzy, in her interview, said she was completely blindsided by Corey and doesn't like Corey or whatever. But I think after seeing her interview or the exit video from Corey, and Corey revealing to Izzy that he just can't trust Felicia and Surrey, it might open up Izzy's mind into thinking that it's not really personal. It really wasn't personal what Corey did towards her by flipping the vote and making the vote be mainly Izzy being put out. Izzy thought that Corey and her were in a closer relationship because they've hung out with each other, had conversations, were in alliances together. So she thought that Corey could have been truly working with her, but I really think that it was strictly game strategy, gameplay, and Corey just used that knowledge that Izzy came to him with it. Know that Izzy is working with Surrey, and know that who he really needs to be targeting is Surrey. He used his MVP power. That's what I'm talking about. He uses MVP knowledge to kind of get Izzy out. It's a good play. It's a good play that was made. Izzy was sore. She was sore about her being put out of the house because when she left out the house, she gonna go to Cam and Corey basically saying, I'll be seeing you soon, pig. Wearing her pig costume. Saying that to Cam and Corey because she really felt betrayed. She thought she was going to stay in the house above Felicia, and it just wasn't the case. Corey played his part. America played her part on egging on her man by giving that information and going and rallying up the troops. They telling people about the votes and everything, and America and Corey, their alliance has now been moved up on my radar. That's all I said. Their alliances has now been moved up. But we've seen the breakup of the 7 deadly sins officially. They are now aware that was completely a fake alliance. Thank goodness, Jag. Don't trust nobody. You ain't even trust anybody anyway. It's everybody done voted you out. But still, God damn, don't trust nobody. And then we got the single number alliances are starting to break up too, because we just seen Surrey and Izzy alliance break up because Izzy has been voted out. And Felicia and Jerry, I don't know, their alliance wasn't necessarily a real alliance, but that is, I would say, that's not a real alliance. It's just not a real alliance. The final two between Jared and Surrey is shaky, but also this week was revealed that the mother and son bond, they are playing for each other. They definitely are playing this game for each other. We watch Surrey go off and protect her son during his HOH, and just the mistakes that he made, she's been cleaning up. But this week, we definitely seen Jared protect his mom from that block with the veto cover. So he won that veto and protected his mom from the block. They are truly good players playing the game together for each other. And that's a strong alliance, double alliance. But I just want to just keep saying that the fact that when there are two alliances in the house, two people alliances instead of big groups alliance, they work well and work better and fine. And we're seeing so many dynamics in this game where the two people are being brought up and working together. It's just working. The three major takeaways that I want to talk about from this week is Corey and America are starting to show how powerful they truly are. Cam can't not be touched, even while without a final two. He can't be touched right now. This man was solo this week and came out this week with a whole bunch of people willing to work with him because of the reveal of the 7 deadly sins. Like, he can't be touched. Cam can't be touched. If they gotta get him out on the back door. I don't know why they keep on putting him on the block. They should know. They learned from the past couple of weeks that they don't need to put Cam on the block as a pawn anymore. He playing this game. And then the third takeaway I want to take from this week is Jared is going the extra mile for his mom, just as she is for him. Those are the three major takeaways from this week, because these are the strongest things that seem to be appearing and happening in the game, and it's causing to be very entertaining. But anyway, back to what I was saying. MVP of the week. I picked 3 people this week instead of 2 or 1, and it's Corey, America, and Cam, because they have shown us some strategy this week in their gameplay. Most definitely. And they're even talking to each other. So it's just whatever. Okay. So, now to wrap up this episode, like I said, today's episode was about the veto competition, and it was also about the live eviction. This episode is a summary of 3 hours worth of dialogue and content in the game. Like, it was just a lot. So if this episode seems like it's all over the place, it's because it is all over the place, because there was so much information that I had to talk about. I was supposed to talk about the extra piggy competition, and I just could not. So y'all could go ahead and watch it on Paramount Plus, please. I just wanted to be able to try to get this episode out before the next nomination ceremony competition, and we are reveal who the HOH winner is after the wall competition that ended in the last live eviction. Like, after Izzy was left, we went into the wall competition. And which is one of my favorite games. And basically now we're going to see who the winner is. It was from the comic verse. The game is basically, I think it's called Attack of the 50-Foot Meatball, and it's basically be a homage to Josh, who won. I forget what season that was that Josh won, but he was a winner of Big Brother. And he used to say meatballs all the time. So anyway, the people are hanging on the wall, and they get hit by meatballs. And whoever is the last house guest having to be on that wall is the new HOH. This competition, I feel like the lightest person usually is the person that wins this type of competition. So I am really keeping my eyes on Mimi, Corey, America, and Blue. They're the smallest people that are in the house as far as size-wise, and I feel like they're the ones that's like the lightest, so they might be the ones that may actually stay on the wall the longest. So we're about to see who's really going to win. And this week's Big Brother comes on at 10:30 Eastern Time on Sunday, which means that my episode might actually be pushed back even again for the Doctor's Notes podcast to a later date, because the time shifting changes, and it's just a lot, you guys. It took me forever to do this episode. So, just bear with me as we do this. Either way, next, I'll talk to you guys next time. I don't have any Twitter updates. Like I said, I'm all over the place. So, next episode, we'll talk more in detail, and it won't be as much jam-packed in one episode. So, thanks for listening, you guys. I will catch you next time. Peace out. Thank you so much for tuning into the Doctor's Notes podcast. I hope you enjoyed today's episode, and if you found value in what you heard today, don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. For more updates and Doc's Castle content, follow me on my social media. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Doc's Castle. If you have any questions, suggestions, or topics that you'd like to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out to me via email at docscastlemediainfo@gmail.com. Remember, your support means the world to me, and I'm grateful to have you as a listener. But until next time, peace out.